You can take a look at my economic plan. It's available on my website at conley4ct.com, and I talk about a number of specifics in a variety of areas. But I do want to highlight an area for you this evening, and that is infrastructure. Transportation infrastructure is going to be critical to launching our state on an upward trajectory. And it's critical for a number of reasons. First, from a safety standpoint. You know, here in Connecticut, we're a leader. We're a leader in roads and bridges and highways that are rated as poor and mediocre condition, and we don't want to be a leader in that area. We're a leader in that almost half of the fatal accidents here in Connecticut are caused by those poor and mediocre roads. We need to fix it from a safety standpoint. Number two, from an economic growth standpoint, we've got to have viable options here in Connecticut to move people, products, and ideas at the speed of business. And it's going to take those roads and highways, putting those projects into place quickly to make that happen. And the third is jobs. Say it again, jobs. We are leaving thousands of jobs on the table because we can't get projects out the door and on the street in a timely way. And we need to work on that right away going forward. Thousands of jobs in the transportation construction industry. Like I was at the Transportation Forum on Friday for declared candidates. We need to get that done right away. Some specifics. Tolls. We've heard a lot about tolls this evening. In my plan, I talk about tolls. You know, I'm in the Army Reserve still. I drive to Fort Dix, New Jersey. I go through tolls in New York and New Jersey. I go to Fort Devens. I drive through tolls in Massachusetts. No tolls in Connecticut. You and I are subsidizing those who pass through our state. We're paying, and they are not, and we need to fix that. And we can do it quicker than 5 years, and we need to get it done right away. We need to pair tolls with a reduction in the gas tax once tolls are in place. And we also need to have smart technology that's placed throughout the state that includes tiered pricing so that you and I are not disproportionately affected here with tolls. Tolls won't be enough. Tolls will not be enough for us to get those projects out the door and implemented in a timely way. And that's why I've called for, in my economic plan, a Connecticut infrastructure bank so that we can leverage state-contributed equity to get private capital debt into place so we can multiply the number of projects getting out the door much more quickly, similar to our green bank here in Connecticut. I am very proud and happy to be here with you today. I am excited that the first full forum of all the candidates is here east of the river, and I look forward to meeting many of you after the conclusion. Thank you so much.
We need a toll right here. Sorry, I couldn't help. I want to talk about jobs. Before I do, on a serious note, first of all, I want to compliment Mayor Hartford who mentioned the opioid crisis. And as elected officials, I know we have the challenges that we face every day running big cities. But the opioid crisis, nationally, if you want to look at it that way, but certainly in Connecticut, is a challenge that we need to unite on. I did a press conference yesterday with health directors from my city and from around the region. We talked about 1,000 deaths in 2016 and probably a like number in 2017. And it crosses all borders, all economic brackets, all families, there's brothers, sisters, parents, children. And there's greed involved with pharmaceutical companies, and I'm part of a lawsuit in other cities, the Mayor of Waterbury and others. So I think we need to keep that on the front burner, along with other things. And it's not just here. Tomorrow morning I'll head to Washington. I'm on the advisory board, one of some 20 members, the advisory board for the U.S. Conference of Mayors. It's an organization of mayors that represent the biggest cities in the country, and all the big city mayors will be there. This will be one of the topics that we'll be united on, continue to be united on and fight on. But jobs, sometimes we use best practices from other mayors or other cities to see what they're doing, and we try and kind of copy each other in a complementary way. But in Connecticut right now, in crisis, that formula's not working. Not with us and with New York and with Massachusetts. When you see GE, corporate headquarters 2+ miles away from where I live, leave the suburban headquarters, suburban location in Connecticut, move to an urban center in Massachusetts, Taxachusetts they call it. And then you see Aetna, and I hope they stay here now with the merger, but make statements and then kick the city and the state on the way out, saying they're going to New York and goodbye Connecticut. Alexion, similarly, after getting state money, we're doing something wrong. We're making mistakes in how we handle it. We've got to acknowledge a problem if we're going to fix it. This is not to cast blame. It's to understand if we're going to move forward in 2018 and for the next 4 years, and I hope 8 and beyond, as democratic leaders, as democratic leadership in the governor's office and in the House and in the Senate, and it's critical to all of us, certainly to us, to have the partnership on a local level with the state to fix it, to make it better. I don't have all the answers, but I know what I've been doing for the last almost 2 years in Bridgeport, and we've been trying to do just the opposite. Cities are always a work in progress, so I don't claim any miracles of success. But I can tell you that what's happening is, in one instance, a company from New York, private investment with some $400 million, taking over our old theaters, and will build now what will be the 2 tallest buildings, a new skyline for downtown Bridgeport, towering slightly above People's Bank, investing, as I said, some $400 million of private money in creating waterfront housing. Down the road, we're going to get rid of the last, if you're old enough to remember the Sooty 6 or the Filthy 5, I think Susan knows those. She's younger than me, by the way, much younger. We're down to one last coal burning plant that's in Bridgeport. And we've got an agreement to shut it down, replace it with a $550 million investment from a New Jersey company that's coming in and replace it with cleaner energy and make that waterfront even a better place to complement the Steel Point project, which is underway now. We can see Bass Pro, if you drive through on the crowded 995, but it's not a parking lot, I'm not on transportation. Or the ballpark, or the arena, or some of the other downtown developments that are going on. It's my pleasure, and frankly, a privilege to stand here to talk to you tonight about the future of Connecticut as a public servant, serving in the job that I love as mayor of the city of Bridgeport. But I know the future of that city, the future of every one of our cities and towns relies on the partnership with the state of Connecticut. I think in many ways, the job creation, in many ways, is in our cities first and foremost, as our cities to be the engines that drive the new Connecticut economy. It will benefit not just cities and ring towns, but all of our citizens, 3.5 million, throughout all our 169 towns. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. I'm going to talk about the opioid epidemic. I approach this not just from policy head on, but my family, our family, has been personally affected by it. I'm sure the whole year, most people, every part of the state have. It is the single greatest public health crisis we're facing in this state and in this country right now. At Consumer Protection, we had a role to play in that to try to end the scourge through our drug control division. We helped through the prescription drug monitoring program lessen the instances of diversion, of doctor shopping, of getting too many drugs, prescription drugs, out on the street. We were responsible in large part for drug take-back, for disposal, whether they're over 70, Michelle, you probably know the up-to-date number, but over 70 drug take-back boxes in police stations, state and local, around this state, or being able to teach people how to dispose of dangerous prescription drugs in their homes. We also were charged with training and certifying pharmacists to prescribe naloxone, street name Narcan, the life-saving drug. And we decided we didn't just want to get the drug out, we wanted to be holistic and have a healthcare piece to it. And so we trained the pharmacists in best practices and overdose, how to get the person, the caregiver usually, coming in to be able to network with the local prevention and recovery services. Because the goal was not to have to use the Narcan or the naloxone. And it's interesting with the naloxone, because this is a holistic problem again. We go out, somebody gets the naloxone, but then there's no bed to put them in. If they get a bed, the treatment might be for 30 days when they need 60 or 90 days. So there are a lot of ways that we have to attack this. One of the ways is the cutting-edge medical marijuana program. A study done a couple of years ago shows a bending of the prescribing of painkillers and dangerous opioids in states that have medical marijuana. We saw that here too. This program is cutting edge. It is helping veterans suffering from PTSD. It is helping people suffering from cancer, kids seizing with epilepsy, hospice. We need to build on this program. We now have the first in the nation research program. And one of our first projects, or the first project, at St. Francis Hospital was to study the use of the medicine on severe rib injuries for pain instead of the use of opioids. So we have a lot of the pieces here, and we have to put it together. And I want to thank you tonight for having me, having all of us here. It's an honor and a privilege to be a Democrat, to be in front of energized Democrats, and to be a part of a movement that can and will win in 2018.
All right, I admire your perseverance. I just want to end on education because, we don't have oil and gas or Silicon Valley, but it's the quality of the Connecticut workforce that is the greatest strategic advantage we have, and it's also the civil rights issue of our day, making sure each and every kid has that opportunity. And I had the good fortune a couple of decades ago to be a volunteer teacher at Harding High School here again. I've stayed involved. Some of the most amazing kids and great teachers. A lot to be proud of there. These are kids from 25, 35 different countries, with multiple different languages, all proud to be Americans and every day. And my job was an incredibly dull accounting class, and they had a hard time getting everybody there. So I brought in folks from the neighborhood. I brought in the guy from Soul to Soul restaurant. I brought in the founder of the Blowfish, and had these folks talk about what it means, why accounting is important to what they do. And more importantly, to give these kids a role model of somebody successful, somebody they can believe in. Here at Greenwich, Glastonbury, we see a lot of successful role models. That was so important. And the other thing I know from that school is how important preschool and after-school activities are. And we've got to stop cutting that back, start expanding it again. All the two families, the single moms keeping up two jobs, it's impossible to keep up. I graduated from Harding High School and I went on to Central Connecticut State University, where I've been teaching for about 10 years. And one of the things I've been doing there is doing my best to get business and labor to think together. Think about what they can do together. Think about what they can do in terms of training of the workforce going forward. And we also have a teachers college there. And one of the things that makes me so sad is that the best and the brightest are not going into the CCSU Teachers College anymore. We have to do everything we can to make sure that people understand that teachers are the future of our society. We respect everything they're doing. And I've worked... Finally, the last few years, I've been working like heck with the business community, reaching out, trying to get them back involved in this state in a positive way. No more bad-mouthing the state of Connecticut. No more Edna, I'm out the door, last guy there turned out the light. This is an amazing state, and I got to tell you, these folks are ready to put their shoulder to their wheel. They're ready to invest. They're ready to hire. We did a whole, workforce study program, like Luke was talking about, what their jobs they're going to need for the next 20 years are and how we start planning for that. But my job as governor is to make them believe in this state again, to make each and every one of you believe in this state again, that we can turn the corner, get behind this fiscal issue, and start believing that Connecticut's the place where we want to be. Thank you, everybody.
My last question. Are you 100% committed to the Democratic Party? How many were at the March Sunday in Hartford? Good for you. I gotta tell you, it was energizing. I looked around at all the signs, and somebody next to me said, it's kind of like what Will Rogers said. I don't belong to an organized Democrat, organized political party. I'm a Democrat. But you know what? That vast array of people, mostly women, lots of men, but mostly women, represented the party that we are in, and it is a party of people. not of oil companies, not of giving tax breaks to big companies. I looked at one sign, and it was about equal pay for work. Well, yeah. Why in Connecticut do we not have that? We'll get it. I looked at another one, and it talked about immigrants. Anybody in here not related to an immigrant? They're a party of the masses. I looked at another sign, and it talked about guns. I'm a Democrat. You better not have an AR-15 unless you've had a background check and a mental health check. We're the party of people who work hard, play by the rules, and still come up short. We're not going to leave them behind. Democrats don't leave them behind. They don't cut them loose. I'm a Democrat. I believe in climate change. And I do not believe that we need to have an oil rig off the coast of Connecticut. And as your governor, I will not permit it. All of those signs. There was another one about affordable housing. Well, yeah. Why should we not have affordable housing? We can't have vibrant cities if we don't have affordable housing. It isn't hard, we just have to do it. And we have to fight the people that are trying to prevent it from happening. I mentioned the environment, climate change. Our EPA, state EPA, 21% of its budget comes from the federal EPA. The clown that's running the EPA doesn't even know what the EPA stands for. And they're devastating it, and they're taking the money away from us. I'm a Democrat. I'm 100% Democrat, and I need your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. I am Mark Stewart. Stewart for Liberty is the website. I want young teenagers and young adults especially to pay attention, and those who care about teenagers and young adults. Please pay attention. I'll answer this question, which in essence said, will you as governor support young workers getting fired? Well, it didn't say that. But it did say, will you support a $15 minimum wage in Connecticut? And ladies and gentlemen, that is the inevitable result. Our well-intentioned to raise wages for some people comes at an extraordinary cost to others. Extraordinary because the people that we might want to help even more, those who are getting a job for the first time, whose skills aren't yet worth $15 an hour, but who crave a $10, $11, $12 an hour job that gets you more than just a job. It's more than pay. When you're in your first job, what do you get? You get responsibility. You get the ability to interact with people, not just devices. You get the ability to show your stuff, to be able to be promoted out of your merit. When we take that away, at the state's command, it is incredibly unfair. And you know this is true because in practice, Seattle, which suddenly took its restaurant workers' wages to $15 an hour, prosperous, progressive Seattle saw restaurant workers fired 600, even though the rest of the state has done quite well. Rural Washington increased. I am worried about legislation that commands things in the workplace. And here's another, Susan brought it up. The legislation that would demand that bosses automatically be paying based on a straight wage across no matter what your experience is. This is what better feminism is. Better feminism to me is when the woman who has been discriminated against, with the free market at her side and some maybe companion says to that boss, you have been underpaying me for the last 5 years, you're going to make it up now, or I'm leaving.
They say go.
Better, I'm leaving, you pick. You're talented, you can make this better and not put yourself in the hands of courts and bureaucrats and legislators. I'll finish with one final deal. You know my opinion on education. Mayor Bronin, if I am the governor and you can enact choice in your city that works, I will sit down in 2022 and endorse you to be my successor. Thank you all.
Once again, on new business, I want to talk about the Smart Buy program. They have this in Maryland. As your governor, I would immediately put this into place in the city of Bridgeport. The Smart Buy program is a program to bring young people into the state of Maryland. And you have to have a student loan to qualify for it. And what the state of Maryland does is they have a lot of housing, and they want young people to come to the state and set up lives. And they will wipe out your student loan and use it as a down payment on home ownership. You have to stay there, you have to live there for at least 5 years. They know that will fully integrate you into the community. It's a wonderful program. A high-speed train from Manhattan, where it's impossible to live for young people, taking them straight up to Bridgeport, that entire downtown area with a train right there. You know, you go 1 block off Main Street and it gets kind of bad kind of fast. Make it all condos. Make it beautiful condos, a city vibrant with young people. The Smart Buy program. It's already in place in Maryland. I've enacted immediately. I want to talk about something else too. Okay? My little sister, when I was young, with my mother and a lot of kids, we found my little sister, police officer knocked at the door, and she was in the front of the house, her head in wrought iron, and she was naked at 3 years old. And the cop said, ma'am, and my mother said, oh my God, and trying to get everybody out the door for school, she had wandered out. Something similar happened to a friend of mine in this state. Only her son was 5 and he was fully clothed. He was taking a walk. Police found him. She got put into the system. It took her 2 years. 2 years, and we all sweated it out with her to get her child back. This is a DCF gone absolutely crazy happy, okay? Too many instances of this. I want to draw your attention to the budget here. The judiciary. I know you don't want me to talk about the judiciary. $586 million more than our transportation budget to judges and judicial staff. Look at this, Department of Corrections. Now remember, I was the one, here I am, a teacher, 20-year union member. My mother was an 18-year union member. My grandmother was a 35-year union member of the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. The union, my stepfather built bridges and tunnels, and the union was huge in my family. I don't come from the kind of world where we break the law. I had a run-em-up prosecutor for 3.5 years that dragged me into criminal court for 41 criminal court appearances. I had to fight like the Dickens, firing lawyers, paying for lawyers, firing, representing, reading everything. I could easily be in jail now if they had their way. Powerful people. This is why. Department of Corrections, I look at this, I think, how many poor black and Hispanic or white kids who aren't articulate, who don't have my fight, are in jail now for something that was orchestrated, something they did not do. Look at this Department of Correction, $690 million? You guys, don't underestimate what I'm talking about and where the fat is. We need to restore our grand jury, and we need to have penalties against the most powerful in our state of right. Thank you.
Everybody, did you miss it? So, first want to say again that I agree with the crumbling foundation situation that we need to fix the opioid epidemic, single-payer health system, and the 15 an hour. Because many people don't know, we can't answer all these questions. My main question, though, I want to make sure you realize I'm looking for the change and the better for the people of the state of Connecticut. We need to change that future for you guys. We need to look for somebody that can actually make those changes because we get what you're telling us to do. So my question I'm going to say here tonight is about what are your top 3 priorities as governor? First of all, I'm going to be a governor that will be able to say to New York City and Boston, we're coming for your jobs. They're coming back to Connecticut. And that's one thing that someone needs to stand up and realize. The market should be based back here. We shouldn't just let these cities have the best businesses leaving Connecticut to go there. The Patriots, we lost them. Let's find a way to get them back here. In a couple weeks, we might want them back in our state. The next thing I want to say is we have in Hartford and Bridgeport, as said our last meeting, Hartford and Bridgeport shouldn't be our problem cities. They should be our opportunity cities. These are our future to look upon, not just our own little towns. We have cities that need to be rebuilt. I'm going to be an economic. I'm going to make this money. We have kids here with their little calculators. Get them out because I'm going to show you how we can make some money in the States. Not only once. If we build 15, just think of this, if we build 15,000 hotel rooms in the state of Connecticut, that will be able to give us a tax on 20 other hotels. That's $100 million in potential revenue by building those economical boom areas in our state. $100 million just by building 15,000 hotel rooms. If we put 20 million visitors into the state of Connecticut, tourism, 20 million. When you land at that airport, you know you pay a tax in your airport on your fee on your airline ticket, $5. That's $20 billion to the state of Connecticut to come here, to be part of our family, the lifestyle, the history, the beauty, the beautiful state that we are, that we take every day. People love and care about our state and want to come here and visit it. Guess what? Just like $89 billion is made in Orlando and Florida, let's take a piece of that puzzle and bring it here, a piece of that pie, as I used to say. And let's bring that money to the state of Connecticut. Because after you realize, if these are my 3 priorities, jobs, tolls, infrastructure, tourism, and economic, that's a $41 billion new revenue to the state of Connecticut. We can't figure out how to divide 17.3. Imagine what we could do with $41 billion. And I want to realize that's where we need to move in the state, with somebody with a smart mind to realize the basics that we do here in the state of Connecticut, we can make money on and bring money back for the people in the state of Connecticut and change and make your lives better every day. Thank you. Your turn.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Craig Stevenson. I'm the chairman of the East Hartford Democratic Party. I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight, and I also want to thank all the candidates that are here, not just for attending this forum, but for the sacrifices that you're making to be candidates in our Democratic Party. No one knows, aside from perhaps your significant others, and a campaign manager, the sacrifice it takes to be a candidate and what you're giving up. And we thank you very much for being leaders in our Let me say one more thing. I want to thank the group of you that are here participating in this forum tonight. And I'll tell you one thing that Charlie and Tony and Mike and I would like to see happen is we'd like to see one of the people at this table be the next governor of the state of Connecticut. We need your help to do it. We can't do it alone. We need to engage our fellow citizens in our communities at the grassroots level. We need to ensure that every Democrat who is eligible to vote comes out to vote this November and they vote for the Democratic candidate. We have solutions to put this state right. And together we will solve and meet the challenges that lay before us. We have some wonderful people here that have expressed some wonderful ideas. Let's get out, let's work together, and let's ensure that we continue to manage this state as Democrats and move this state forward into the future. Thank you very much.
One minute. one man by town. There's not enough time in 15 minutes to talk to each one of these candidates, to ask the questions that you might have. So I would encourage anybody that has favorites or all the candidates, invite them to your house, have a house party, 15, 20 people, get to know these candidates, let them get to know you and your issues.
Thank you, Kelly.